No one ever says, I saw this Facebook ad. Maybe once in a while if the ad is so crazy, but that's not how it works. It's like, I read this article in Wall Street Journal, or I read this article on this mom or dad blog. You should check it out. Here's this Instagram blog I follow. Check it out. That stuff actually really, really matters.
Welcome to Marketing Conversations with Lamp House Films, the show where we bring you direct access to tips and insights from today's marketing thought leaders. I'm your host, Josh Henry. If you haven't yet, make sure to sign up for our email list. We post bonus content there every week, including extended interviews from our guests. We get into some really great practical tips in there. You do not want to miss it. Today on the show, we have Jackson, the general manager of direct-to-consumer business at Clorox. Now, at Clorox, Jackson has his hands in a lot of different brands. Some brands that everybody's heard of, like Clorox wipes, and some brands that you probably haven't heard of. In our conversation, we talk about the things that are consistent in marketing in both of those applications, and the things that are specific to each one, particularly PR. It's a really good conversation. I learned a lot, and I think you will too.
I think that the adoption rate, D2C for certain categories like fresh grocery and other categories is the slowest, right? People are willing to get on with Amazon and buy certain things. When it comes to buying your pears and strawberries and apples and milk and eggs, that's been the hardest. And once you get that down, then you have mass adoption. That's what we're starting to see as a forcing function, right? For the force of nature, literally created this opportunity now where I think, well, if I can buy groceries, I can buy anything online, right? If I can trust my eggs and my milk to come to me, then I can trust anything. And I think that's what's happening. And I think obviously coupled with people not wanting to go into stores, and people will go back to stores. They already are, and they will get back to normal at some point. That's not going away, but the permanent behavior shift is there, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's not like COVID created this trend.
No, it accelerated it. I do think for D2C brands, it's the same. You still need a brand. You still need to tell a story. You're very data-driven, data-inspired, I like to say, versus data-driven. You're more probably quick to market. You're more likely to fail and try new things, and you rely on data way more, right? First-party data and attributes, and you pivot much quicker. So I think the only difference is you're gonna try a bunch more things in D2C when it comes to your brand and marketing, and you'll pivot accordingly. But it's still telling a story. It's still getting people excited, showing the value prop, the benefit. You might use less sexy or creative at times. We also might use very sexy, beautiful, aesthetic creative. You might use influencers or consumers. So in some respect, it's exactly the same. In other respect, it is very different, but it is a combination of brand and performance. And then having that, to me, also is really important, is the contextual relevance, right? You need that instinct, that emotion, especially in 2020. People care about the values of a brand and what they stand for, and can they relate to it? So I think there's that aspect of the data. There's no data that will show you that in an ad, right? Like no data will show up to say, hey, people care about you're standing up for a cause. Like that's not how that's going to work. That's got to be, from here.
So you guys, obviously, Clorox you guys have a lot of really big brands that you're operating. And so how much are you thinking about branding versus getting a direct return? And is that varying significantly platform to platform?
It is, although I'd argue Instagram especially is as much about brand and performance, right? So yes, it is a click, but sometimes it's a follow. Right? Sometimes people just follow the brand to kind of engage with them and then buy later. And Instagram is very, design forward, very visual. So sometimes we couldn't just do like buy one, get one free on Instagram without a beautiful visual or something that gets your attention. So it's a combination. But yeah, the other channel, it's a balance, right? We have to balance out, our performance metrics versus our brand metrics. And every channel plays a different role at a different time. And certain brands at Clorox also are different, right? So we launched a wellness brand called Objective 8 months ago. No one knows that brand. It's pretty small. So we really need to build brand presence. So there's a lot more effort going on there. We don't need to tell people about the brand of Clorox cleaning wipes, right? Yeah. We just have to say it's available now. Come buy it. So it definitely varies on the scale from a brand no one knows to a brand that everyone wants and can't get.
Yeah, for sure. And within your industries, because you're sort of spanning a little bit, what do you feel like is changing as far as how you're getting to your consumer?
Yeah, from a D2C standpoint in my category, I would say it was pre-COVID, so nothing really new. I would actually say what's old is new. So I think your referrals from friends, I think that's always going to be the thing. If you want, especially if you're in medium or high consideration, so less CPG actually, but more like wellness products or technology where it's a high cost or perceived high risk to your body or family, right? Something to be putting in you. I think that's where the referrals will be far more important, right? So this idea that, hey, if I'm at brunch or dinner with my friends, I'm going to ask them what toys they bought for their kids or what foods they're buying for the kid who has the allergies or whatever those things are that I'm going to spend time researching. That That's always been a high driver, and that has continued to be the case. So nothing can compete with that.
So aside from having an amazing product, how do you encourage people to do that? Like, is there ways through your marketing communications that you can encourage?
Great question. I have amazing product first and foremost. I'm always like product. That was my first hire as my head of product for a reason, right? Like your product has to be on point, period. But then a distant second is definitely like loyalty programs, I think help, right? People kind of shit on loyalty programs oftentimes, but they don't have to be structured as like buy 10, get 11th free, right? That's one way of doing it. It's an old school way of doing it. There's a lot of ways to structure loyalty. Loyalty can be structured by a system that allows people to give you feedback, specifically on new products that you're gonna launch, and get them involved in the R&D cycle and show them, hey, you had this idea, now we're making it, right? That's a cool way of rewarding loyalty. So I think there's a lot of ways to reward loyalty. Get them out to trips, give them virtual experiences, give them an interview one-on-one with the executive, the CEO of the company. I think people look at loyalty as like, oh, it's just a monetary thing. Loyalty is defined so many ways. I think that's how you reward your key folks, key customers, and they will then refer you. It's this endorsement from a credible source. It's not, no one ever says, I saw this Facebook ad. Maybe once in a while if the ad is so crazy, but that's not how it works. It's like, I read this article in Wall Street Journal, or I read this article on this mom or dad blog, Fatherly, whatever. You should check it out. Here's this Instagram blog I follow. Check it out. That stuff actually really, really matters. So I think PR, getting the right people editorial to write and talk about your product, is critical, and that's what we've done too. The digital ecosystem has allowed a lot more people to have a voice, and that's all editorial. It's not just paid influencers, it's editorial. And I think for me, I've hired a great person who has freelancers, and we have a small group of people working and supporting her, but like she just has a good relationship. She has a good mindset of strategic storytelling. We have a narrative and a story we want to tell, and we have a strategy of how we're going to tell it. And then she goes and pitches people and builds relationships.
Yeah, and I feel like that's just so much more just efficient too, because other people are writing the articles and other people are paying for the ads.
Yeah, and think about your costs. You're paying for the salary and maybe some freelancers. That's it. Unlike advertising, you're constantly paying $5, $10, $30, $100 CPMs. Here it's like, hey, at some point that pays for itself, right? She gets 10 or 12 articles. You get a couple of Wall Street Journal articles. You get HuffPo. You get a Vulture or an Elite Daily. Oh my God, dude! Like, and we see the spikes in traffic. We see, and guess what else gets a lift? SEO, because PR journalists, those articles, huge SEO, right? Page one, right? Google any product, it's SEO. Amazon gets a big lift. If you're selling on Amazon, what's the first thing you do oftentimes when you research a product is you go on Amazon and then go Google and see what else you can read about it, or you read an article and you go to Amazon to buy it. It works both ways.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think of marketing as our ads or our creative or whatever. And I feel like what I've been learning is like, that is like 10%.
It's one part of it, yeah, and they all work together, right? Without the ads, without the beautiful creative, the SEO isn't gonna be as powerful. You want to land on a site that tells a story. You want the ads to work together. You know, paid search and organic search have always been historically separated from an agency standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, which is crazy to me to think about. I get why, but they work hand in hand, right? How many times do you? Maybe I'm a biased marketer. I pass the ad. I know exactly what I want. Even though the ad takes me to where I want, I don't want to give that click to them. I go down to organic search, but there's an ebb and flow there. They work together. So to me, yeah, it all works together. You can't have one without the other, but you're right. It's not just about the big, beautiful creative. And it's not just about PR or the SEO. It's truly integrated.
Thanks for watching another episode of Marketing Conversations with Lamp House Films. Lamp House is a production company that focuses on film-centered marketing campaigns. If you want to chat with us about your next campaign, we would love to hear from you. You can reach me directly at josh@lamphousefilms.com. We have a lot of great guests on the way and a lot of great bonus content. To make sure that you don't miss any of it, use the link in our description to sign up for the email chain. I'll see you there.